Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to crochet. More specifically, you're going to be learning how to crochet a small octopus. This is also the first thing that I learned crochet, so it should be fairly easy to learn. The materials needed to make this are yarn, a crochet hook, round marker, needle, plastic eyes, and stuffing. If you don't have things like a round marker or plastic eyes, which is totally understandable, you can just use substitutes. Like for a round marker, you could use a safety pin, or honestly anything that would just mark and record your rounds. And for plastic eyes, you could just use some black yarn and a needle and just sew it. Here are some crochet terminology and abbreviations to get familiar with. Also, just a heads up, the actual pattern starts once I teach you how to do a magic circle. Everything leading up to that is getting you ready to make one. So like single crochets, chaining, slip knot, all of that stuff is right before, and then it's the actual pattern and making it. Okay, so here's how I make a slip knot. First, I wrap the yarn around my hand twice. And when I'm doing it that second time, I loop a little bit of this piece under it. So I don't like fully put it all the way through, but I just put this little loop. Then I stick my thumb through it. Then I take my hand out slowly and then pull the ends to tighten it. And there's a slip knot. Then you can like put your hook on it, and if you pull these two pieces, it goes like tight to it. And just one more way to simplify that, the way like I really learned was you make like this pretzel shape, and then you go under here and you do that. If that helps at all, that's just like a trick I learned when I was reading through a crochet book. Okay, so this is chaining. How to chain is first you have your hook here, you put it under the yarn, hook it, and then pull it through, around, pull it through. And a big important thing with this is you have to make sure the yarn is on the outside, so it's on the right side of it. Because when I was starting, I used to like pull it through like this. I don't even know how. I like mess with it all weirdly, but you do it like this. And you can practice as many chains as you want. It kind of almost looks like a braid if you do it right. But yeah, it looks like this, and you can seriously do as many as you want to practice and like start going faster. And anyway, they should be like all pretty similar size too. Like when I started, I did them very tight and they were always super small, but they should honestly be pretty similar size and not too small or not too big. You'll kind of figure it out as you keep doing them. And also, just a quick note, if you just are practicing the chains, when you're done, you can literally just pull on the end of it and they're all gone. So you don't have to like waste any yarn, and then you can just use this all over again. And here's how to single crochet. So this is a very important stitch to learn, just because it's not only used like a ton in different patterns, but it's also like the foundation of most stitches you'll learn. Okay, so here's how it goes. You first put your hook into the very first like chain next to you, and then you pull the yarn through that loop first. So then you have two loops on your hook. And then to finish this off, you just pull through both of those loops, and there you have a single crochet. Of course, once you do a few more, it like goes into like a pattern and you can kind of see it. For the first one though, that's just how you do it. So let's just do a few more. So once again, you put it through the loop next to you, or like the stitch next to you, and then you pull through the yarn just through that first loop, and then to finish it off, you pull through those two. And then as you go, you can like of course do it a bit faster until you like can do it really fast, and then like your projects will go a bit quicker. But just to start, do it slow, take it easy, and just make sure you're doing it right. And then like as time goes on, you get more comfortable and you learn how to do it a bit faster. But like I was saying, like that's like kind of like the pattern it's gonna end up looking like. And just like with the chains, I would recommend like being very comfortable with this, just because it's in a lot of patterns, especially the one that I'm trying to teach you how to do. And then of course, just like the chains, you can literally just pull this when you're done and have the yarn if you're just trying to practice that. Okay, so here's how I make a magic circle. So first, of course, you make your slip knot, which you then tighten off on your hook. Okay, so now you start off by chaining 2, like we had already learned. So 1, 2. Okay, now you have to look and you go back into that first chain. And for this specific pattern, we are going to put 6 single crochets inside that very first chain. And only in the first chain, like that's it. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then you can like tighten this piece off and stuff. And you see it's like a circle now. So that's basically it. Okay, so after you've made your magic circle or practice making a few and now you're happy with it, you have to grab your round marker or like whatever you're using for it. Just as I said in the beginning, like anything that'll like mark and record your rounds. So basically we're just gonna clip that around like where our hook is on. Then you can tighten it just so it's there, so then when you go around you don't have to like be guessing how much and like count and do all that weird stuff. Anyway, so now you're gonna find the first single crochet you made and we're gonna start increasing. And increasing basically just is what makes it like the stuffed animal bigger and like makes it a stuffed animal. And you're just like adding to the number of single crochets. That's hence the name increasing. Anyway, so we go back into the first single crochet, which seems to be right here. You just put your hook through that. So there's kind of like 3 now because the single crochets make it so there are 2 loops you have to stick it through. Anyway, so now we make 1 single crochet to start off. And then in that same single crochet that you just made one in, you have to do another one. So there should be 2 single crochets in one, if that makes sense. And then you have to do that all around. So instead of 6 stitches, it should have 12 by the time you're done. So just keep doing that. So 1 single crochet and then 2, then 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, no. And then 1, 2, and finally 1, 2. And make sure not to do it in the stitch you have the round marker in, just because then you'll do too many. And I like to count them out just to make sure I have the right amount so I don't have to like redo around or try to fix it. And honestly, if you don't have the right number, I would just take it off and like pull the string and like just redo it, because otherwise it gets really complicated and weird. Anyway, so I can just count them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So since I have the right amount, I'm just going to put the round marker on the new strand and tighten that off. And that's basically how you increase, which is how we're going to do the next few rounds. Okay, now we're going to do a second round of increasing. However, this time we're going to increase a little bit less. So instead of going and doubling the amount of single crochets and like stitches you have, we're only going to be adding 6 again. So it's going to go from 6 to 12 and then from 12 to 18. Right now we have 12, so we're going to 18. So doing this, we're going to start off by increasing in the first stitch. So we're going to do 2 single crochets. And then the next one, we're only going to do 1. So it's going to go 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and it's just going to keep going the whole round. So we can start off by doing 1 and then 2 single crochets right there. And then in this next one, we have to do only 1. And you're going to do that the whole round. So 1, 2, and then 1, 1, 2, and then we're going to do 1 again, then 2, 1, and then 2, and then 1, 2, and then we're going to end off with 1. And then I'm going to do the same thing I did last time where I count how many just to make sure I have 18. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So now I'm good and I can move my round marker. And you can even, while you're doing this, count out, like go from 1, then 2. It just like to remind yourself which thing you're doing. It just kind of makes it a little easier. Now we're going to be increasing for the last time. So we're going to go from 18 stitches to 24. And this time, instead of going from 2 and then going 1, so like we're just going to be increasing in 1 and then going 2 stitches with 1 single crochet. So basically, we're going to do the same thing we did at first. We're going to start off with increasing in this one and do 2 in the 1 stitch. But then for the next 2 stitches, you're only going to do 1 crochet, 1 single crochet. So it's going to be 1 and then 1 again. And then we're going to repeat and we're going to do 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, and then lastly 1. Okay, and then I'm going to count one more time just to make sure that I have 24 stitches, just because it would be a bummer to like only have like, let's say 22, and then that won't be like a super big deal, but like it's not correct. So I'm just going to make sure I have 24 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. I'm just going to move the round marker one more time. And the whole reason why I'm using like this specific yarn, it's like a bit thicker, it's just because it's like a little bit easier to count out those things. And like that's just my opinion, because like when I was starting, I used thinner yarn and it just like was a little hard for me sometimes. But I also kind of crocheted a bit too tight, so that also could have been why. But it's honestly just your preference. So, okay, now we are going to do 4 rounds of just single crochets. And I'm not sure if I completely mentioned this or not, but a round is just each time you go around. So that's why we have a round marker. So it like helps you keep track of them a little bit. And another way you can keep track is if you go into like your notes, you can like kind of like say how many you've done and like completed, just to be sure that you know the amount. Or you can like just count like 1 round, 2 round, 3, but like it's just a bit simpler if you like record it. Anyway, so we're just going to do 4 single crochet rounds. So we're literally just going to do single crochets in each stitch for 4 rounds, which is not that complicated. Okay, now that you've done all 4 rounds of just single crochets, we're going to start decreasing. And then after this, we can add a bit of stuffing just to kind of start that. But first, of course, we're going to decrease. Okay, so here's how to decrease. So first you put your hook through 1 stitch and then pull through. And then you go in the next stitch and then pull through. Now you have 3 loops on your hook. And then you pull through all 3. So it kind of just joins 2 stitches together and then you have less. And then since we are doing our first round of decreasing, we're going to do a single crochet, then a single crochet, and then 1 more decrease. And that's kind of going to be the pattern. It's just like when we were increasing, just like a reverse, because it's getting smaller instead of getting bigger. So just 1, 2, and then decrease again. One, 2, and now decrease again. 1, 2. Now decrease one more time. Well, not just one more time, but yeah. 1, 2, then decrease. 1, 2, decrease. Now this is the last decrease. And now just 2 more single crochets. 1, 2. And that should be the end of your round. And then you can do like what I was doing before, where you count out the stitches. And instead of getting 6 bigger, we are getting 6 smaller, so it should be back down to 18 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Okay, now before we do the next round, I'm going to put the plastic eyes in and start stuffing a little bit. And just remember while you're stuffing it to try not to like overstuff it. If anything, I like to not put enough, even though I prefer to like put the right amount. Anyway, so I have like my little container of the plastic eyes. I'm gonna try to grab the right size. Like, I'm gonna start off with maybe these ones. And then I have to get the like little back pieces. And honestly, the biggest thing you want to like watch out for is putting these in the same round. That's why a lot of people, like, as they crochet, they put them in, and I just have never really done that. It's probably smarter, but it's fine. So I'm probably just going to do it like in the center of my work, just kind of eyeballing it, which is not good, but yeah. Anyway, so I'm just trying to like see if they're in the same line, which it looks like they are. So I'm just going to put the backs on so you can see like the little, they're like poking out, and then you stick this over it like that, and then you press it in until it like kind of like clicks a bit, and you do that on both sides. You do that, and then they're right there. And then you have a bit of stuffing, not that much, just so you can temporarily like fill it up a bit. Well, not temporarily, but just kind of not fully fill it up yet. And you have that. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this yet, but this little string, you can kind of tuck it in this hole. It's honestly probably a bit smarter to do this before you stuff it, so I'm just going to take that out. And you just push the string in here and like grab it with your other hand, and you kind of pull it through. So then it's just not like sticking out the top. There's like also a little bubble, so I'm just gonna poke that in too. And there that is. So then I'm gonna put the stuffing back in, and now the top's all set. Okay, and now we're going to do a round of decreasing again. First, I'm going to set up my hook. Okay, for this next round, we're going to have to use back loops only. This basically means we're only going to put the hook through one of these 2 loops, if you can see. And it's going to be the bottom one, because that's like considered the back loop. And we're going to still continue decreasing, so we're going to do a decrease, and then 1 single crochet, then decrease, single crochet, just like as a pattern. But you just have to remember the entire time to keep it in the back loops, so then when we're done with like the body part, we can add like the little legs and stuff. I don't think that's what they're called, but I'm just gonna go with that. Anyway, so sometimes it's a bit difficult to like poke it through right there. You just kind of have to make sure it's only in one, so you have 2 loops on. Then you do the same thing we've been doing, where you pull it through, and then remember to only do 1, pull through. You still have 3 loops on, and pull it through. And now we're single crocheting. Now decrease. And then single crochet, yeah, see, it's a little difficult. Decreasing again, single crochet, okay, decrease,
single crochet, decrease, single crochet, almost done, just one last decrease, and then single crochet. You can still count the number of loops you have just to be sure. At the end, we should have about 12 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And the purpose of like staying in the back loops is just so you have like a loop sticking out around like the edges, so then we can add like the legs in after and it'll just be a bit easier. And that's pretty much it. And now for the last round of decreasing, we are just going to decrease in all of them, and we are back to using both loops, not just the back ones. So it's just going to be regular and each one's decrease to get it back down to 6 before we close it off. So just regular decreasing all the way around. Okay, and like I said before, there should be 6 now, so we can just count that out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now for this last part with the body, we are just going to be closing off the hole, so you can take all this off. You can honestly like tie this closed, just like right here, like do this, just so it's like kind of, because you're not really doing much with this piece anymore. And then you are going to have to like just cut this, and then we're going to cut off a piece of this yarn. Well, we're not going to cut it off yet. We're just going to loop it through the needle, which I just use plastic ones just because I know that I would poke myself a lot if I use a real one. And this is pretty big thread, so it just makes way more sense for me. You kind of have to like just kind of pull it a bit, and it's in. Kind of, you don't like knot it on, you just do like one little tie just so it's like on but not like stuck. Just like that. You can kind of tuck this bit in, and then we go under, over, kind of in, like loop it through and around just to close it off. So you kind of put it in, put it through the like, well, so you're going to put it in the hole. You can either take it out or just go straight under this. So it's going to be through, and you can pull through. Then you go down, under again, and then through, pull, and then, okay, wait. Just so I can see it, go down, through, and down, through. I think we can go down through one more time. And now we're back in the first one we did in, which is where you can kind of take it off. And honestly, we could probably put like a little bit more stuffing in there really quickly. So I'm just gonna like put like a little bit more. Something like here. Just kind of have to like stuff it in, just so it's like a bit more full. That's probably good for me. But you can honestly stuff it as little or as much as you'd like. I just try not to overstuff mine, just because I don't like that. But anyway, then you just pull on this till it closes, and then tie it off with a knot. So one, and then just knot it here. And that's really it. Then you can like cut off the ends, and like, I like to cut them off a little bit longer so I can just like pull them under here with like my hook. Which basically I just kind of stick it through, hook them on, and then pull it down under and like kind of like push it down a bit just to get it off the hook. And there's like still like a little bit. You can try to do it like this or go back in and like pull it through just one last time. just because then it's kind of just gone. You don't have to really worry about that. So now we have the body completely done, and even the bottom doesn't look that bad. Okay, so here's how you do a half double crochet. This is of course one of the main stitches when you crochet the legs of the octopus, so it is important to be a bit familiar with this just so it looks good when you do it, when you finally attach them. So here's how we do that. So first you do your slip knot, and just for practicing purposes I'm just going to chain 5 and then do the stitch there just so you can kind of see it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now I'm going to show you. So first you go loop the yarn around, then you insert your hook into the next chain over, pull through just that chain, and then you should have 3 loops on your hook. Then you pull through all 3 of those loops, and that is a half double crochet. I'm going to do that slowly just a few more times, probably the next 3 a bit slower, just so you can see it 3 more times. So you go around, insert your hook, pull through just the chain, and then you pull through all 3. 2 more times. And there you can kind of see the pattern forming. Mine's a bit messy right here because it got looser, but you can kind of see it then. And I would recommend practicing that a bit just because it is a big part of the legs that we're going to be crocheting soon after this. Now here is how to do a slip stitch. So a slip stitch is the other stitch you're going to have to learn in order to do the legs on the octopus. This is one of the simplest stitches that you will ever learn. So first I'm just going to chain 5 again. Okay, so it's seriously just inserting your hook and then pulling through. That's it. Insert your hook, pull through everything, and that's seriously it. Insert, pull through, insert, pull through. That is all it is. It's very simple, and it's just in between each half double crochet when we crochet the legs onto the octopus. And you're going to see that in just a minute. Okay, now I'm going to be teaching you how to crochet the legs onto your small octopus. So first you're going to flip it over. Here is the bottom. I'm just going to make sure that I'm doing it on the back side just in case the first one looks a bit off, then you won't have to see it every single time. Okay, so you're going to have to find this circle where we did the back loops only in a few rounds ago. And you're going to have to find one of them, for example, I found one right here, and then it goes around and it's one round. Okay, so you're going to insert your hook into one of those and then pull the yarn through so it's attached now. And then I'm just going to do a quick slip stitch so it's actually fully attached. Anyway, now is when we're going to start doing the actual half double crochets and starting the pattern. So I'm going to go into the next one, but before I do, since it's a half double crochet, I have to loop around first once and then go in here. I'm just going to start off with one of them. So once you do your first, you have to do 4 more because there are going to be 5 half double crochets for each stitch you do it in. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Now you can see the little leg forming right there. And there should be 8 legs, but I'm not completely sure. I can't fully remember how many stitches we did in that round. So if there aren't exactly 8 legs, because it's an octopus, it's probably fine. I'll count them out when I'm done just to be sure. But anyway, now we have to go into the next loop, which is right here, and do a slip stitch, just like we did the first time. And that's literally it. So then there's then it's defines where each leg is and stuff. Okay,
So now we're just going to basically be repeating that until we get back to that first slip stitch.
Okay, so I just finished mine, and it does have 8 like little legs, I guess. And yeah, so it should turn out pretty similar to this. Depending on the size yarn you use, it might be a bit like smaller or a bit bigger. But other than that, it should look pretty close to this. So this is final product. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day and enjoyed this video. If anything was like unclear or like you're still confused about something, always remember you can comment that down below. And if the comments are turned off because they seem to be on my full-length videos, go on like a short or something and comment, because I read through those and respond all the time. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.